Hey folks, I recently got an email from a really cool company in Illinois that helps startups with their additional needs, like, for example, content development and marketing and programming. They're called e-technologies or etech360.com. Nice website and everything, and checking it out. And I was thinking about them in the context of the news that Jack Dorsey is the permanent CEO of Twitter. Jack Dorsey and Evan Williams founded Twitter, and I was there at the party they threw at Mighty. Evan, I hope you see this. Remember that party? It was a cool party. And I remember just waiting, and we were kind of, okay, when is Evan going to come out and talk about this Twitter thing? And because Pounce at the time was, as they say, the shit. And Pounce was Twitter before Twitter, though never became as big as Twitter is today. But then, who knew? And I remember there were a lot of great people there. Kathy Brooks was walking around testing some sort of laptop video streaming device she had. Robert Scoble was in attendance. Oh boy, tons of hot women, and just, it was a lot of fun to be there, and the drinks were just flowing. You go back to the bar and get what you wanted time after time after time, because I did. Anyway, then Evan finally came out, thanked everybody, talked a little bit, introduced Jack. Jack did wave his hand as he was on the stage as well, and I was far away, about 4 drinks into a conversation. Anyway, I remember hoping or thinking, gee, I hope this Twitter thing really works out for them, because it's a hell of a party and someone spent a lot of money. And they didn't have an e-tech in those days. They didn't have anyone to do the marketing for them. It was all brand new. They just got their VC money. They were still trying to figure out how to make everything work, because Twitter went down a lot. I mean, the reason why Pounce was so popular was because, less so with me than other people. I love Twitter, but Twitter was completely unreliable. It just was. And it was only a small bit of what it is today, even though it still has design issues today that were born at that point in time. Okay? Now here we are. It's 2015. That's right, 8 years later. Twitter is a public company. It has hundreds of employees. It plays a major role in the revitalization of the midtown area of San Francisco, the mid-market area. I can go on and on and on. But with all that, it seemed to lose its soul. And as a person who started 2 tech companies, first Sports Business Simulations and then Zenny 62 Media, I can't tell you how important it is to be able to control the thing that you created, because it's your kid. Let me explain to you that something I think Jack and Evan feel by way of something that happened to me with Sports Business Simulations. I created the Oakland baseball sim world from scratch, okay? And using a very esoteric programming language called Fourier macro language. Folks, if you're going to start a startup company, do not make your product based on an esoteric programming language. Use something everyone else uses. PHP, Ajax, Ruby on Rails, whatever the most appropriate application is that's well known and used, use it. Don't use Fourier macro language, but that's precisely what I did. And after roughly 8 years of chugging along, after we were established in 2003, after being created in 2002, well, Michael decided he was going to change the technology on me. I thought he was going to reduce my server cost. He didn't do that. Threatened to shut me down because I wasn't going to pay him, because I thought I was being treated unfairly and I thought I was lied to. And so on Friday the 13th, 2010, I couldn't gain access to the game part of my site. And then Michael tried to shut down the other part of my site, the corporate site, after, as I understood it, I thought, hey, he said, you know what? Early on, we'll just host your site for free. Well, that went away. But when my game part was shut down, it was like someone killed my son. And I am not a father. that was my kid, you know? I gave birth to that. I created that from my head, my idea, completely from scratch. And to this day, it hurts. And I try to figure out how to revive it and everything, but there's nothing like creating your first product from scratch and watching other people use it and get excited about it, and also use it in ways that you didn't think was going to be used, and making adjustments to, compensate for that or enhance that depending on what it is, and move forward. I know that Jack and Evan have went through that same thing. So yeah, it's for that reason, because you have a fingertip feel for what it is you created, that it's right that Jack Dorsey is the permanent CEO of Twitter. That's right. That's the way it should be. Because no one who comes in and takes over for you as the founder and creator of that product that becomes that startup completely understands it like you do, let alone has the fingertip feel for how it's supposed to work and grow as you do as a CEO. So Jack, you're right back in the place you need to be in. And I think we got a chance to shake hands maybe for not that long in passing, and that was about it that day. And hey, man, one day maybe I'll get a chance to salute you in person or shake your hand or something like that. But the bottom line is, it's really so freaking cool to be able to look back and think about the number of people that I've met and talked with who were building startups in those early days. Like, well, for example, Steve Huffman. Steve Huffman, I think I'll put a link here to my interview with him at the Reddit party. In fact, Kathy Brooks invited me to that party too after AdTech in 2007. He had just come out from Boston. And what a great party. Crowded, place was packed and crowded. It was a galaxy or something like that. And no one had any idea where this Reddit thing was going to go, and look at it now. Reddit, Twitter. I met Leah Culver thanks to Owen Thomas, who had the Valleywag bar parties over at Moose's, which is now the Park Tavern. And, hey, Pounce was again the thing, and Leah acted like she was the shit. Beautiful lady. Anyway, hey, she sold it at 6 apart, and boom. And then there's Mark Cantor, who started the first social network, the People Aggregator, and chugged along, and also Macromedia, and now finally has received $1 million in financing from a venture capital company. I can't say who that is. He's not really ready to talk about what he's just created, but it's gonna be a revolution, folks. I'm proud to say I've personally known, or at least been in the same room with these folks. And I do think, God, you know what? That could have been me. And it still can be me. Which gets to my other point. There are blacks in tech. Forget all that stuff. That's not the point of my video, though. Wow. Jack's back. Where he belongs. Cool stuff.